EA launched Titanfall 2 between Call of Duty and Battlefield 1, basically sending their masterpiece to die. That is one of 15 incredible games destroyed by terrible timing or broken launches. Keep watching, because you are about to discover forgotten masterpieces that embarrass modern full-price releases. Game 1, Titanfall 2, the bad timing king. EA literally scheduled Titanfall 2 to launch 1 week after Battlefield 1 and 1 week before Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. It is like opening the world's best restaurant between McDonald's and Burger King. The 6-hour campaign is pure genius. You are wall running through industrial facilities, calling down your Titan mid-combat, and forming an incredible bond with BT-7274 that hits harder than most Hollywood blockbusters. Then there is Effect and Cause, a level where you jump between past and present versions of the same facility in real time, solving puzzles across 2 timelines. It is creative design that wins awards and influences everything after. The multiplayer movement makes every other shooter feel like quicksand, but EA's suicide launch window killed any chance at building a player base. Game 2, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Sins of the Father. Square Enix invested hundreds of millions only to watch it underperform. Everyone assumed it was more Avengers garbage. That is the tragedy. This is everything Avengers should have been. The writing rivals the movies. Star-Lord's banter feels natural. Drax misunderstanding idioms actually lands. Rocket's anger has real weight. Combat lets you direct team attacks, calling Groot to entangle enemies while Gamora executes combos. It is chaotic coordination of actual misfits. The story tackles family and redemption without getting preachy. Late in the game, the team fractures and you earn their trust back through choices that matter. But Avengers poisoned the well. Players saw the words Square Enix and Marvel and ran. We will probably never see a sequel to one of the best superhero stories in gaming. Game 3, Prey, 2017. The name confusion tragedy. Arcane Austin made the best immersive sim since Deus Ex. Then, they watched it die because of marketing confusion and a recycled name. The mimics are perfect horror. Aliens that disguise themselves as coffee mugs, chairs, any object. You start hitting furniture with a wrench before entering rooms. That paranoia creates a kind of tension that jump scares never could. The genius is freedom. Need to reach a locked area? Hack the door, transform into a coffee cup, and roll through a gap. Use the glue cannon to build your own path, or blow a hole in the wall. It treats you like a problem solver, not a passenger. Bethesda could not figure out how to sell thinking person's sci-fi horror. Add confusion with the 2006 Prey, and you have commercial failure. Game 4, Beyond Good and Evil. Ubisoft released it in 2003, featuring a female photojournalist who investigates a government conspiracy. Jade uses her camera as both tool and weapon, photographing alien species while secretly documenting government atrocities. The photography mechanic makes you observe instead of shoot, and you care about uncovering the truth because journalism feels heroic. Planet Hillies feels alive with its own culture and economy. It has Mediterranean port town vibes mixed with sci-fi tech. Combat blends stealth and staff fighting, rewarding observation over reflexes. But in 2003, the market wanted space marines and explosions, not investigative journalism. The game sold poorly despite critical praise. Game 5. Spec Ops the Line. The marketing lie. It is one of the greatest tricks in gaming history. Spec Ops the Line looked like every generic military shooter, but it was actually psychological horror that questions why you enjoy virtual violence. Rescue mission in Dubai. Then, the white phosphorus scene happens. The game forces you to use chemical weapons on what you think are enemy combatants. When you walk through the aftermath and see the burned civilians you just killed, it asks if following orders absolves responsibility. Captain Walker's mental deterioration is reflected in everything. Voice lines go from calm commands to screaming threats. Loading screens shift from tips to accusations. Do you feel like a hero yet? This is Heart of Darkness transplanted to modern warfare. 2K sold it as another desert shooter. Players expecting Call of Duty got an existential crisis instead. Game 6, Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. Dontnod's best game ever launched in February 2024 into the most crowded window in gaming history. With Helldivers 2, Skull and Bones, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth all competing, Banishers never had a chance. A ghost story about love and sacrifice in colonial America. You are two ghost hunters, except one dies in the opening and becomes the ghost you are trying to save. Every choice matters. Your partner's life versus innocent souls. Each haunting presents moral dilemmas with no clear answers. The relationship system makes BioWare look shallow. Your partner remembers everything. How you solve cases, who you sacrifice, what you prioritize. February 2024 was a bloodbath. Banishers did not fail. It disappeared into the noise. Game 7. Dishonored 2. Arcane Studios perfected the immersive sim formula, then watched PC performance issues destroy it at launch. The Clockwork Mansion is pure genius. It manipulates entire rooms like mechanical puzzle boxes. Pull a lever and walls rotate to reveal hidden workshops. Then there is the timepiece mission. You jump between a mansion party in the past and a ruin in the present, using intact architecture from one timeline to reach destroyed areas in the other. Playing as Emily gives you completely different powers than Corvo. Domino links enemies so damage to one affects them all. Every power opens new tactical possibilities, but the PC version launched with massive frame rate drops and crashes. By the time Arcane patched everything, word of mouth was poisoned. Game 8. Alpha Protocol. Obsidian created the most sophisticated choice and consequence system in role-playing game history, but then buried it under technical problems. The timed dialogue keeps you on edge. You have only seconds to choose between professional, aggressive, or suave tones. Characters remember your tone across the entire game. Be sarcastic in hour 1, and they will reference it hours later when you need help. Every mission offers multiple approaches with real consequences. Kill someone quietly, and their allies never know. Go loud, and you will face increased security. The game tracks everything. Character relationships are incredibly complex. Handlers judge your methods, not just your results. These are not approval meters. They are genuine relationships that shift based on your actions. But clunky shooting and bugs hide the sophisticated systems underneath. Most players never pushed past the jank to discover the genius. Game 9. Alan Wake. Remedy made a game that felt like Stephen King meets Max Payne in 2010, and the market had no idea what to do with it. The episodic structure treats each chapter like television, complete with recaps and cliffhangers. Alan Wake is a writer whose fiction manifests in reality. Manuscript pages he does not remember writing predict horrific events. Light-based combat is revolutionary. Enemies called the Taken are shrouded in darkness. Burn away shadows with flashlights before bullets can hurt them. Managing multiple light sources while being stalked through forests creates incredible tension. Bright Falls is a quirky small town with Twin Peaks energy. Radio shows and manuscript pages are puzzle pieces that reward exploration. Microsoft could not market cerebral horror with literary themes. It was too thoughtful for action fans and too action-heavy for horror purists. Game 10. Planescape. Torment. Black Isle created the best written game ever made in 1999. It was a commercial ghost compared to Baldur's Gate. A dialogue-driven RPG asking, what can change the nature of a man? You are immortal, an amnesiac covered in scars and tattoos, each a message from previous lives you can't remember. Identity, mortality, and consequence across lifetimes. The writing is dense and philosophical. Conversations explore redemption, belief, and the weight of past actions. Combat is almost optional. You can talk your way through most encounters. An RPG for players who think instead of fight. Audiences in 1999 wanted Baldur's Gate-style combat, not philosophical discussions. It became a cult classic 20 years too late. Game 11. Enslaved. Odyssey to the West. Andy Serkis and Alex Garland created a post-apocalyptic love story in 2010, and nobody showed up because the market was drowning in brown wasteland games. This reimagines Journey to the West in a world where nature is reclaiming the ruins of civilization. Instead of depressing grey rubble, you are climbing through vibrant green forests growing over skyscrapers. Flowers bloom from rusted cars. Wildlife has returned to abandoned cities. It is hopeful and beautiful in ways post-apocalyptic games rarely dare to be. Trip places a slave headband on Monkey that forces him to protect her. If he dies, the headband kills him. What starts as resentful cooperation slowly becomes genuine partnership. The motion capture performances bring these characters to life with subtle expressions and natural chemistry that most games never achieve. The platforming flows beautifully. Monkey's acrobatic abilities make traversal feel effortless. You are swinging between mechanical structures, leaping across crumbling buildings, and wall running through nature-reclaimed environments with incredible momentum. But 2010 was peak post-apocalypse fatigue. Fallout 3, Borderlands, and countless others had trained audiences to expect depressing wastelands. Enslaved's gorgeous art direction and emotional storytelling could not overcome the perception that this was just another game about surviving after the end of the world. Game 12. Sleeping Dogs, the Undercover masterpiece. Wei Shen's identity crisis is the best crime story in gaming. It died because of cancelled true crime stigma. You are undercover, infiltrating Hong Kong triads. The tension of maintaining cover while staying true to your code is constant. Every brutal act makes you question how much of Wei is performance and how much is becoming real. Martial arts? Martial arts combat puts GTA to shame. Environmental takedowns feel visceral, slamming enemies into phone booths, throwing them off rooftops, and using kitchen appliances as weapons. Every fight feels like Hong Kong action cinema. Hong Kong itself is alive. Night markets pulse with energy. Street food vendors and karaoke bars create an incredible atmosphere that makes most open-world maps feel lifeless. The true crime cancellation was a curse. Players saw cancelled franchise and new name, and they assumed the worst. Game 13, Binary Domain, the smart sci-fi you missed. The team behind Yakuza made a robot consciousness thriller set in Tokyo in the year 2080. Sega's marketing buried it under generic cover shooter trailers. The squad trust system matters. Teammates judge your combat performance and dialogue. Save their lives and they trust you. Let them get hurt and they question your leadership, affecting combat effectiveness and story outcomes. The procedural robot destruction is genius. Shoot a robot's leg and it limps but keeps fighting. Destroy its weapon arm and it switches to backup systems. The attention to detail in how these machines break down is incredible. The story tackles consciousness and identity. What separates humans from machines becomes deeply personal as the plot progresses. Sega sold it as a generic shooter, ignoring the soul in the machine. Final Fantasy VIII was released by Square in 1999, right after Final Fantasy VII changed gaming forever. The junction system divided fans so hard people still argue about it. Instead of traditional leveling, you draw magic from enemies and junction it to stats. Draw 100 fire spells for massive damage boosts. But using that magic weakens you. It rewards preparation, and it punishes button mashing. Some players called it genius. Others hated the complexity. The story stands shoulder to shoulder with Final Fantasy VII. Squall and Rinoa's romance is the emotional core. Squall starts as a closed-off mercenary who refuses connections. Watching him open up and risk everything for Rinoa hits harder than most romances because the writing earns every moment. Gardens are mobile military academies. CD mercenaries fight wars with actual political complexity. A cult following emerged years later when players revisited it without Final Fantasy VII's shadow. Game 15, Grim Fandango, the genre killer. In 1998, LucasArts made what many call the best adventure game ever. It failed commercially and publishers took notice. This is film noir in the land of the dead, where souls work off sins before reaching the ninth underworld. Manny Calavera is a travel agent for deceased souls, caught in a corruption conspiracy that spans the afterlife. The Art Deco afterlife aesthetic is one of the most unique settings in gaming. The writing rivals the best films, sharp and funny without ever being obnoxious. Memorable characters include Glottis, a demon mechanic, and Mercedes, a revolutionary. Puzzles require actual thought, combining inventory items creatively and solving environmental challenges through careful observation. By 1998, the industry had moved on from adventure games. Three-dimensional action was the future. When Grim Fandango failed at retail, publishers concluded adventure games were dead. LucasArts shifted focus, and one of gaming's greatest genres nearly vanished. Great games don't need massive sales to matter. These 15 prove the industry doesn't always recognize art when it sees it. Most are dirt cheap now. Check the description for links. Let me know which one you're playing first.